Success in farming is all about precision and efficiency, ensuring every seed, every drop of water, every nutrient and treatment counts. Terraplex Ag is helping farmers all over Iowa and the Midwest do just that. With precision ag drone technology and support from Terraplex, you'll boost your productivity and make timely and informed decisions, all while reducing your costs and increasing your profit. It's time to revolutionize your farming. Harvest the benefits with Terraplex Ag. Visit TerraplexAg.com.
Well, welcome in, everyone, to those of you that are joining us live here for a little instant reaction pod post Iowa and Purdue. We are coming to you live from the Channel Seed Studios and brought to you by Terraplex Ag, our wonderful sponsors. We love those guys and everything they do to support us here at Iowa Everywhere. I'm Adam Pedersen, and of course, a man who played in many a Purdue game and knows how annoying they can be. It is Mr. Jordan Bohannon.
A lot of games, all right? A lot of games. I get it.
Big Ten regular season, tournament, a lot of games. Yeah, that was the Hawks, man. They left it all on the floor. They battled. They just came up short. There was a lot of positives and a lot of negatives, but rebounding is the name of the game, man. Just cannot have that rebounding effort.
Yeah. I mean, we look at numbers, just brief numbers, 50 rebounds by Purdue, 23 by Iowa. I know they're going to get out-rebounded just by the power of Zach Edey alone. But
yeah.
I think the guards, don't get me wrong, it was a phenomenal effort, but the guards had to do a lot better job of helping the big guys down low with boxing out Edey. And I think there's a lot of, I think how many threes Purdue shot, but there's a lot of long threes, as you saw that last stretch of the game, where they had four really good looks at where the guys came in and got offensive rebound, especially when it's, a 9-point game. You look at that, that's a 3-possession game. It's a huge difference right there by having those extra possessions. I know they didn't score in that stretch I was talking about, but that's just a huge shift to momentum when you're able to, you gotta help the big guys out down low to help the box out.
Yeah, it's deflating as a fan to watch it. I can't imagine what it's like for the mindset of a player out there, and you can touch on it, but you go all out, you make a great stop on defense, especially stopping someone like Edey, who's on his pace to win National Player of the Year again. And it's got to be deflating when you stop him, he misses a shot, and then you get the board and you got to lock back in for another 25, 30 seconds maybe. I mean, that's got to be, not only is it hard on your energy, which then is going to affect the offensive end of the court, but it's got to be a little deflating to the mindset of the guys on the court too.
Yeah, and Edey is just such a powerful force. I mean, you look at the guy, he's arguably is the best player in college basketball right now for a reason, but he has what Purdue runs for him is just extraordinary to watch. And people that understand how these play calls are set up, what Matt Painter is doing, there's so much around that they do for Edey that opens up so much for other guys on the court. And even when, Iowa doubled Edey every single time in the post, basically. Yeah. And Edey still had 30 and 18. And that's just extraordinary the guards, their post entry feeds to Edey when they're getting him to the spots they want him to. You got to give a lot of credit to Coach Painter. I know they've had down years or down times in the postseason play these past couple of years, but it seems like every single year, Matt Painter's teams they play the exact same way every single year. They have guys every single year. They have a 7-footer that comes about, it feels like, but their guards are so disciplined. And their transfer they had with Jones coming in, there's just so many pieces this year that makes this team so similar to a lot of the Purdue teams there was in the past.
Yeah, man, they look like they're just a team of destiny, a team on a path. They're playing together with one mission, one goal in mind, and they're going to be hard to beat, going to be nearly impossible to beat if you let them out rebound you like the Hawks did. But let's touch on some promising things. There was some positives in this game. Iowa started out great, a lot of energy, great crowd there, super active hands on defense, I noticed. Getting their hands in the post, especially making passes for post players out of the post hard, They're just getting their hands in all the lanes. Perkins came with a ton of, aggressiveness, and he was fired up off the bat and getting some turnovers. And I like to see the defensive effort that Iowa brought today. It's promising. Hopefully it's that way moving forward most games, but you can't fault the start. They had a lot of effort on the defensive end to start the game, and I think that's going to set the tone in a lot of games moving forward.
Yeah, I thought their effort tonight, or today, I guess I should say, was very promising, like you said, because this team, they're arguably the best team in college basketball. They came in after it wasn't a great showing at Purdue, but Iowa had some guys that's, Tony's been playing these last 4 games.
Yeah.
I look at just shooting wise, Tony put up 19 shots per game. That might sound like a lot, but he's going to have to shoot that many times for this team to be able to compete as they did today. Same thing with Peyton. Like, he only had 12 shots. I think if they keep those shot attempts around 15 to 20 for each of them, that's what it should look like moving forward, because those are the guys that are going to have to create shots in, postseason play or in this last part of Big Ten play, because a lot of these guys that are coming in as freshmen, people are starting to see these teams are starting to figure out what they do. And this always happens. All these freshmen that come in, they play really well at the start of the Big Ten play just because they're not familiar with what they do and their tendencies. These coaches scout them, and now at the end, towards the middle of the season, they start figuring out these players and their tendencies. So, guys like Dix, he's going to have to, come in and really energize this team to a different level, because a lot of these freshmen, Owen, this is going to be a tough game for Owen, obviously, because of him guarding Edey, but there's just not a lot of wiggle room with Iowa this year with guys that are coming off the bench, because majority of their points is being scored as the starting 5. So that means there's going to be more of a premium put on Peyton and Tony to really perform. Yeah,
that's some great insight there. It has been that way. Talking about Tony, and you mentioned Dix there. When Purdue went on the 19-2 run, Tony and Dix were on the bench for about 6 minutes, no foul trouble. Fran didn't call a timeout, didn't get those guys back in the game. I don't know. I thought that those guys should have been on the court. Iowa actually outscored Purdue with those 2 guys on the court today. I don't know. I guess what's in the coach's mindset? Obviously, you've been in that situation. Is it something where he wants the guys to find a way to dig out? It's going to help them in the long run down the road in the season? Is it just in the moment you kind of are just trying to get the guys on the court to stop it? You forget who's on the bench. Like, I highly doubt he forgets who's on the bench, but I noticed a lot of people a little upset with that. Touch on it for us, buddy.
Yeah, and every fan has a right to be so, because they see the game from a different perspective, obviously, than being there on the court and handling a team, and there's so many variables that are coming at coaches and players throughout the games. But I urge the fans to kind of take a step back a little bit, kind of just what I was alluding to beforehand, that last question you asked me, Adam. Think about the minutes that are out there for these guys this year. You look at just minute-wise, to kind of a long answer to your question, you look at Peyton and Tony, they played 38 and 36 minutes. Yeah. And you think about, it's not realistic for players to play 35 minutes per game in the Big Ten. Yeah. That's just very hard to manage. Your body is going to break down, wear down. And you saw at the end of the game, Tony was tired. Yeah. Tony was taking shot. He played phenomenal, but he had a couple possessions where he took, bad shots. Peyton, he took a quick 3. There's Josh Dix came in. He played 33 minutes. He took a fadeaway jumper when it was 9. I think it was a 9-point game with 4 minutes left, 3 minutes left. Yeah, really important possessions, because you score there, you get a stop. It's a huge huge transition. Being able to cut in that lead late game, but that's why he's got to try to figure out, because you see those guys are playing bulk in the minutes. I know Owen was in foul trouble. He only played 21 minutes this game, but there's not a lot of minutes that are being handed out to the bench players. So he has to find a way to have those guys play those high minutes, but also find ways the bench has to step up. That's plain and simple. They have to step up. They have to perform. Even Brock coming in with 4 minutes, he's got to try to get 2 assists, 4 points. Just something to spark off the bench. Evan, he played 9 minutes today. He only had 1 assist, no rebounds, 0 points. You play 9 minutes of the game, you got to make an impact because the reason why I'm saying that is because of how the team is shaped this year. But I don't want to take away from anything. Like you said, they performed very, very well today. And I think this is a huge stepping stone they continue to take because, like we talked about last week, Adam, they could have been 0-6 really quickly in this conference play, and they're 3-4 instead.
3-4, and I mean, there's no such thing as a good loss, but I think that a lot of the guys are going to have some confidence and see some good things that happened and some momentum and things to build on moving forward from this game. You were touching on the minutes. I want you to touch on this so this is the beauty of our show. You got me, just the fan. I'm not going to lie, was really good against Clay Central Everly in high school, but the fan perspective, I'm someone who's kind of always said, man, we got all these TV timeouts, coaches call timeouts. The guys are getting rest. Like, let's rock with the starters. But you said, 38, 36 minutes, that's just too much. Is it just so much of a dogfight, relentless physicality, like while you're on the court, that those TV timeouts just aren't enough? Because I'm always kind of been someone who said, we got TV timeouts for some breathers here and there. Keep them out there.
I always hated TV timeouts personally because I think they ruin the flow of games. But
that is true. There's been times where they kill the momentum. Yeah,
there needs to, I know this is stepping away from the game, but there needs to be a rule put in where there's somehow, when there's a timeout called, let's say there's a long stretch, and this happened, I think, last week in a Big Ten game. There's a long stretch. I think it went 9. I think it was Iowa game. They went about 8-9 minutes without a TV timeout, without a stoppage of play.
Yep, it was an Iowa game.
Yeah, coach called a timeout. They played for they had the timeout. Then a minute passed when they played. Another stoppage was played. Then they went back to a timeout. I don't even think it was a minute. It was well short of a minute of play time. So there needs to be some sort of rule put in where this has to. There has to be a better way. I get it. Yeah. There's money involved. The money is always going to be first priority, but man, that ruins the flow of the game so much to go along with what you're saying. But
yeah,
this is one of the games where that has to happen though, because the off the minute conversation we're having, because there's just not a lot of minutes to go around some of these players that are playing this year. So they got to make the most for these TV timeouts and any stoppage of play that occurs, because I mean, it might have to be a year where the rest of the year where Tony and Josh Dix and Peyton are all going to have to play probably 35 minutes in a lot of these games moving forward.
Yeah. I know he's had a lot of great games today, though. I feel like Cricky wasn't his best performance. You could tell Zach Edey was really affected him. I mean, obviously he pulled up short a couple times because he wanted to get the shot off. Maybe he could have got it off going to the hoop, but someone that size is going to affect you a little bit mentally. But you could tell he was not quite as aggressive going to the hoop on a post move. He pulled up a lot and shot some floaters. He missed, and it just – man, you could tell Zach Edey was in that guy's head. He didn't have it today. He missed. I mean, he stepped out and hit a couple nice little mid-range jumpers at the end, but he missed his only 3 attempt. He had a lot of misses down there within 4 or 5 feet. And gosh, we just needed a lot of those little bunnies he missed today in a game like this, and he just didn't have it.
Yeah, I would like to see – Tony was really the only one, and I know Coach McCaffrey was hammering this just because I've been a part of the Purdue scout before, of attacking Edey off ball screens and getting his ass into the paint and try to draw fouls on him. I don't think he got a foul until the last, I think it was 10 minutes left in the game. I think that was his first foul he got. And Tony really took it on himself finally in the second half, where he attacked Edey and whoever was in the ball screen and got to the basket.
Yep.
And I would have liked, and I've been saying this, I mean, I hate mid-range twos. I get Ben is a very, very good mid-range, shot maker. But those shots are just not high percentage shots. They're very, very low percentage shots, and they want you to take those shots. I get he made probably 1 or 2 of them today, but they got to find a way when they have a guy like Zach Edey, they got to get their ass in the paint, and they got to try to draw fouls on the big guy, because him getting in foul trouble, Purdue is a totally, totally different team. Totally different team. He comes out of the game, I think Iowa went on a 9-0 run or whatever Zach set out. And I know Coach was hammering that. I just don't think they took advantage of that until Tony finally got to the basket. I know he forced a little bit, but that's what you're going to have to do to try to draw fouls on the opposing team's best player.
Yep. Yeah. Golly. And Man, we needed to have him down there getting some fouls on Edey. Laggy, gosh, I hope for a speedy recovery for that guy. He had some. I was thinking of you when he was having some of these crazy big spark plays. He's getting his hands in there on defense, making some exciting plays, crashing the boards, and I just kept thinking of you. I was like, that's my Nick Bear 2.0 down there. But no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just saying, I didn't know if you noticed at the end of the game when he came back out of the locker room, he was in a boot. That was an ugly rolled ankle. I really, really hope he's not out for too long. He is a spark off the bench that I think, A, we need some of his spark off the bench. B, I really think we need him to keep getting some minutes to build on for going into next season as he gets older. And gosh, I hope he's not out long. I love that guy, and I hope for a speedy recovery for him.
Well, he's just another guy that, I mean, he comes in and plays 9 to 17 minutes in a game. We're running out of minutes here, and who's going to be able to divvy these up to make it a team that is going to be able to endure the whole conference season.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you just look at today. I mean, we had 3 guys in double score. We had 4 guys over 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just another guy down. I don't know the status on Patrick yet. I assume he'll probably be back next game. But, this is a year that injuries is going to play a huge part in this team because Iowa has the pieces. As crazy as people want to say that is, that I might be saying that. They have pieces to be able to get to the NCAA tournament. They just won. They rattled off 3 games in a row. They just changed their whole direction of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But as we talked about after the Oklahoma game, if you remember, Adam, I said we got to get some quad 1 wins because I saw there wasn't a lot of opportunity this year for that to happen.
Yep.
And right now, Iowa's sitting at 0 quad 1 wins.
0-5.
What's that?
0-5 in quad 1 opportunities.
Yeah, 0-5. That you're not having a quad 1 win, you're not getting an NCAA tournament. It's that plain and simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean they're going to have, we'll have Wisconsin and Illinois. I'm not sure how many more opportunities. Illinois just had good grief, I can't think of his name, got reinstated, so that's going to be a tougher win. But I will say, like, overall takeaway here as we finish this up and look a little bit towards the future. I do like what I'm seeing out of the Hawks, specifically Tony Perkins. I think he's finally starting to be the guy that I think can carry this. He doesn't need to throw the team on his back, but that he can be the catalyst that gets things going, sets the tone. He's starting to be more aggressive. And when he drives and draws fouls and gets going right away, then that instantly builds his confidence for that little mid-range jumper he has. That's nice. That little 12-foot in there floater. I mean, what we talked about preseason was he's going to be a huge reason if the Hawks have a good season, and he's turned it around big time in the last 4 or 5 games, and the results have been there for Iowa. And, in a loss today, he still played great. He just left it all out there, and so I'm excited about what I see from him and what having Dix out there a lot is doing for our offense and doing for Tony, like we talked about it would. And I have a lot of hope for these next 5 games for the Hawks.
And this is a huge stretch, what we talked about on Tuesday. I mean, you coming in, we're playing Maryland, then we go to Michigan, to Indiana, come back and play Ohio State all within the next, 11 days, basically, 12 days.
Yeah, it's a busy one.
Yeah, so coming out of here, if they can get to 500, I know Maryland's really good this year. Michigan, never easy going to win at Michigan. Indiana, that's going to be a really hard one to pull out. Ohio State's always pretty decent team. And then you got to go all the way to Penn State that next week. So This is the grind of the Big Ten. These next 5 games are going to tell a lot about how the Big Ten's going to, who's going to be the top 5, is going to be top 6 in the Big Ten, who's going to be the the middle of the pack, who's going to be the bottom 2, 3. Yep. I know Iowa's sitting at 3 and 4, but as we saw, things can change in a hurry if you build momentum and rattle off some wins. But if you rattle off some losses in the Big Ten, you get buried down in the bottom of the Big Ten really quickly.
Yes, you do. Holy cow. I just saw the final score. Iowa State won 73-72.
Wow.
Good Lord, they about blew that one. So congrats to the Cyclones. That's a huge
They're up 18 at halftime.
Yeah, that's a huge road win for Iowa State, minus Taman Lipsey. He didn't play.
Yep.
So, wow, big win for them. Yeah, I think I could see Hawks to being 4-1 looking forward. A lot to look forward to. Like you've said, I couldn't say anything better than what you said. By the way, in the beginning, I forgot to mention this, but you look very handsome today.
Oh, thank you. You do too.
So, and by the way, if Zach Edey uses his COVID year and finds a way to come back next year, I might have an aneurysm.
He does have one more year, right?
I just hope he can use it if he wants to. Oh, for the love of God, please don't. Just leave.
My thing is, Edey has a chance to be a top. This is how crazy professional basketball has changed. He has a ability to be a top 10 pick.
Mm-hmm.
He also has the ability to slide all the way to the last 10 in the second. And that right there just shows you how drastic of the game is so different. You know, he might be a guy that just sticks for 1 year and then, you know, he might find a fit in the NBA. But if he doesn't find a team, he might not even be in the NBA just because of – and he's a great player. He's one of the best basketball players to ever come through college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. Just like Luka Garza. I mean, he's on a two-way. He's barely even on he's playing basketball, obviously professionally, but he hasn't signed a full contract this year. It just blows your mind at how different the game has shifted from what it was even 10 years ago till now.
Yep. All right. Well, name of the game was rebounding. 19-4 on the O boards. If Iowa has another performance like that against Maryland, you better believe for the next game I'm buying a ticket and flying to wherever they play, and some Pedersen rebounding drills are going to be happening.
Well, just to end on that, if it would have been a totally, I think, different last 10 minutes of the game, instead of it exploding from 50 to 23 and rebounding, that margin is just unwinnable. I don't care how good of an offensive team you are. You got to limit that margin just a little bit. You get a couple more offensive rebounds here or there. That's, Peyton hits he had a wide open 3 to get to 6 or 7. They get an offensive rebound there. They're able to get a different look. I mean, that's huge right there by just changing that margin just by a little bit. And that's how close it's crazy to think about how close it is you are from when you look back in the game film, which they are tomorrow. And I guarantee you, coach is going to show the last 4-minute stretch and be like, we get offensive rebound here, it's going to be a totally different game. Payne's able to get another look. Josh Dix is able to get another look, get a layup. We press, totally different outcome that it could have occurred.
Yes, sir. All righty. Well, by the way, great day to be a Hawk. Basketball team showed promise. Caden Proctor coming home, baby. Going to be a lot of thoughts on that Tuesday morning when you talk. I'm so excited to nerd out and talk about offensive line. It's going to be like Christmas for me. I cannot wait.
It's your favorite.
Oh, boy, can I not. I already have so many thoughts in my head about how he's going to completely change the O-line for us, and I'm fired up. So, Caden, welcome home, buddy. Glad you decided to make the right decision and come back. Hawks, hard-fought loss, lot to build on. Excited about the next game, and we'll touch about that and a lot of other stuff on Tuesday morning. So, thanks for everyone who joined us, and thank you to Terraplex Ag and Channel Seeds and the Iowa Event Center. We couldn't do it without you. J-Bo, go make some Memz tonight. Enjoy your Saturday night, buddy.
Yes, sir. You too, brother.
All right. We'll catch you all later.